Yep, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Bear, yeah, I can. Let me get you turned up though. Let's see. And by get Instagram, it takes a second to connect. Uh, so how have you been?
I've been okay. How about you?
I've been okay. I definitely have been okay. I spent the one day at a time. So I went to the Bahamas last week and went through Florida, spent the night there, left the next right. But I moved from South Florida, so I'm hip to Florida man and all of the other stuff. But definitely came back through there Sunday night. No, yeah, Sunday night and stayed Monday. So I got back yesterday, and America's energy
Yeah,
is.
man.
I'm big on energy. You walk into a room, you feel like whether the people you know positive or negative, but you ever walk into a room and it get cold? You ever
Mhm.
walk into a place and you're like, it wasn't a cold thing for me, but I'll be honest with you. I felt a little bit more like, I don't know, upset. Uh,
Of course.
it was weird and very I was very aware of it. Like I did not feel this way just
Yeah.
six hours ago, and I actually got back and I'm like, what the heck is this? TikTok, you guys, if you guys are interested, we are here for we're talking mental health tonight. We know what yesterday was, so that is why we are here. We're showing up for you guys to give you guys some positive encouragement, some hope, give you guys some information. But if you are interested in seeing Dr. Wilkins, you can go to one of two places. You can, well, we are on a bunch of things, but you can either go to you can go to YouTube, Black Expat Life in Colombia, or you can go to Instagram, which is RJ Mood, MOOD. Super simple. But I think Black Expat Life in Colombia YouTube channel is probably gonna be the best bet, just because I think they can see us on both sides, whereas on Instagram we might be a little distorted, but everything is definitely being shown. But before we get into anything, Dr. Wilkins, I appreciate you because I told you we upgraded our streaming capabilities since the last time we spoke, and we did an Instagram live not too long ago, not too long after the election. But considering the inauguration, some of the things that like I didn't know what to expect. I knew I wanted to get out on the exact same day. Like, let me get out as early as possible from the United States. I have no idea what you guys are going to go do, but um, I knew that a lot of people saw some things yesterday that probably even gave them more pause for the cause, even though they already went into it with that. And I was like, let's make certain that the day after we linked up schedules, and you're like, it's the day after inauguration, I'm like, we are going to need to talk to people because I know people are definitely going to be like, what the heck just happened? And I think that's where they are now.
Yep. Yeah. What just happened is like what people have been warned was going to happen. The F around and find out is here. And, my assessment of the states is that there has been, I call it collective psychosis. That might be a little dramatic, but just people really being out of reality to cope between the election day and yesterday. And it feels like yesterday the veil was lifted. Before we started, you were talking about there was a different energy. It's because that veil was lifted, and people are like, "We here." I was avoiding getting into this. It's interesting because even as you said that we were where we're streaming on, like interacting with applications feels like, no.
They're slowly like, and they don't. I think I saw something today where they're like, yeah, TikTok's back. First of all, I don't think I've ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong, because social media hasn't been around for 60 years or anything, so we can't say like when other things happen. But there was messages that TikTok was saying. oh, we're working with Donald Trump. And I'm like, have y'all not been paying attention? He was the one that started this entire, he was the one that started this entire thing. And now we're in a situation where you guys are working with him and almost praising him. And considering that, I think today was, we'll let you have TikTok if 50% of the United States owns 50% of it. What's happening right now, and wherever you are, because we're on all of them except Snapchat, but X, Facebook, um, YouTube is not too bad. But once TikTok, most
Thread,
of where we go, Threads, I mean, all that's Meta, WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. That was the one that blew me. Yeah.
I mean, once they bought that anybody that doesn't know about like how WhatsApp works, because in America, if you aren't traveling, or if you don't have family that is out the country, you may not use WhatsApp. But that's like the primary like means of communication, both out of the country as well as for people in the United States contacting and communicating with their family. I don't think I've ever called a business in Colombia like straight. Like they got like a WhatsApp number, you like reach out to them that way. They don't have like a landline phone. And all of these things are now positioning themselves to be controlled by one entity. What do we do?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. You know, I heard someone say go analog. And as much as that seems like, what?
Sound like
I,
Lieutenant Dan off grid.
yeah, but I think these are times to be considering like how reliant we are on technology because I believe that our data and technology is going to be the new currency. And it's daunting, right? It's daunting for our mental health. It's daunting the potential for impact on relationships. Many folks don't, gone are the days for most people where they live on the same block with all their relatives. So most of us, yeah, most of us got some distance that didn't seem as significant when you knew you could just rely on technology and rapid communication. And so, I don't think that there is any way, as I'm still grappling with just the gravity of the situation, I don't think that there's any extreme that could be too far to describe where we are.
You ever you know how they in the movies and they're always like, well, at least can't get any worse than this. And I'm like, I'm not. I, I don't. I don't know what you don't know what bottom is until you. And I don't think there is a bottom.
Yep.
Because the moment you say that, I feel like here comes something. Somebody we've got something in the extreme as I think yesterday Elon was out here doing random things with his hands, and people were like, "What are we watching? What is now becoming normalized?" And so many people, and I think you might have seen this. I know I was talking to somebody earlier about it. It was in one of the group chats in Medellin, but it was just about people, the veil of capitalism. And when you couple that with the American dream and all that stuff, you get this thing where it's like, I too can be the next millionaire. So I'm willing to prescribe to this capitalism thing because one day I'm going to make it also. And you run into this thought process that you don't want the things that make a community, a society, the what makes them that to be monetized in a way because I mean we're young, but the moment that become in a situation where I'm no longer valuable to the for-profit business, how do you justify caring about me in a situation where I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's like so many people don't even realize that the thought process of capitalism is a thing where it's a glass ceiling thought process. Like not even like an actual glass ceiling, but they're like, I'm looking and I'm going to be there one day and I'm going to get there one day. But realistically, most people won't get there. They're going to spend their lives trying to get there. And then you look up and you've actually traded humanity for stuff and things. I mean,
Mhm.
if so I'm here in Medellin right now. I can see people walking down the street from Venezuela with stacks of cash. They will actually wave it to get your attention, especially if you're not from here. Like wave it to get your attention, like because you're like that's money. It might not be American money, but you're like that's money. Why would somebody be having like a money spread? But if things go belly up and the business doesn't go the way it wants to, there have been so many, not just Venezuela, there have been so many countries that have literally seen their what how many countries in Africa are using the franc and France don't even use a franc?
Right, right, right.
You like these things are like you guys are trading all your time and like to be a part of this thing that is American capitalism and y'all don't even know it's about to turn up even more.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I think the important thing to do is to not normalize this. And since we're here talking about mental health, my thoughts are not to normalize it emotionally. As you were talking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably right there with you. You didn't say it, but I'm hearing fear and anger, those two mixed, but like in a very more Halcyon way of presenting it.
I'm doing my best to like not try to cause a algorithm riot because the algorithm will
Right.
use it lists certain words and I'm like, but yeah, definitely like
Yeah.
trying not to like give you like, hey, y'all going through something, but not try to like scare the hell out of y'all because I already know we nervous.
But
I
see,
know we nervous.
yes, but as long as you have a place like that, this may not be that place for you to, like I call it, knock over some tables, like this may, as we're talking, this may not be that time. That's fine, but with your partner, with your closest peoples. Like all of us need to find a place and relationships to be able to say what we're feeling exactly how we're feeling it. And for people who have clinicians that they're working with in their lives, make sure you're with a clinician that ain't gonna tell you to gaslight yourself about this. I had a client yesterday and I swear that they just like ranted for the entire session. I could barely get a word. I was like, no, they need to do this. And as like when they like allowed me space, I was like, you know what? You could be with some therapists that would be telling you to breathe and to bring it down and talking to you about regulating yourself. I was like, no, your anger has a place. And I want you to lean into your anger for as long as you need to, get it out. And then once you get it out, do what Black folks have done for forever, which is transmute that into something productive, whatever that looks
Innovation,
like for you. But you
innovation.
can't you can't transform those emotions if you don't allow yourself to feel it. And a lot of us, frankly, the programming has been to suppress our emotions for the sake of productivity. I think it's some slavery stuff. We weren't allowed to stop being productive. But part of our liberation, and I think liberatory thinking, liberatory feeling, is to be like, now I'm gonna feel this as big and as long as I need to feel this because I have faith and hope that it can be turned into something productive that's going to be part of what is protective for me, for my loved ones, for my community.
No, that's that's serious because you mentioned something when you first started and I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. You know why? Because here's the thing. Not enough of us are having these conversations. That's the
Right.
first thing. But then two, what we have done, and I've had people even say to me like, "Yo, like this is a black expat life. I'm a white person. Is it okay if I join?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's all right. I can't filter you out, but it's more so like we need a safe space to understand that there are other people that are going on with the same things that we are. So many things feel isolated in so many different environments. So many people feel like I'm just dealing with this. And we as a community and as a collective, so it might be time to go and rip the band-aid off. You know, worst case scenario, like, and that's why it's about having our own spaces. Because if I can't say mental health and I can't say folks out here acting up and they literally just pardon every person almost from January 6th and as if it was nothing,
And
as
I
if it was
think that that's
nothing.
probably going to be nothing. We're going to look back 4 years from now, God willing.
And that was just the start. And you're like, if you thought that was bad,
Yep.
oh, just hold my beer.
Uh-huh.
Hold my khakis. Because
Uh-huh.
that's how they end.
Uh-huh. And it's important that we don't minimize that, because I think that that's part of what's going to serve a protective
Normalization.
function, is that we don't do this like, well, I'm just going to hide my head in the sand. And if it impacts me, I'll deal with it then. And I'm not going to get emotional. And I'm saying just the opposite might be the security. Just the opposite.
I'm gonna tell folks this because you said me, and I know you understand this, so I want to make sure that other people understand this. So many people, me has gotten us here. The thought process of me has gotten us here.
Mhm.
And I keep telling, and I hate to sound like a jackleg preacher, but I'm like, listen, community is going to be the only way
That's right.
that we actually go about getting out of whatever it is that we are dealing with now,
Yep.
what may be on the horizon that we can't even prepare for because we haven't even yet dealt with it yet. You wouldn't have not, no one would have known how to prepare for the quarantine. You just had to go through it
Yep.
because it wasn't any like precedent to say, okay, well, this is what's going on. And that me thought process is why we are here right now.
I got pushed back a little bit because the 92% ain't never just been about me. The reality is that the 92%, we've always been looking out and doing more than our part and so on. It is time for everybody to jump on. And what I will say in support of what you said is that, can we talk about the divisive narrative that painted Black men as if y'all were just like all about me, all about yourselves, didn't care. Kamala couldn't, y'all weren't far behind the 92%. And I think that that's a narrative that isn't like highlighted enough. I forget how
Mhm.
many of y'all were in there. I think it was around 80% of Black men who voted, something like that, voted for Kamala. And let's be clear, I don't think that any politician is the silver bullet for what we need as a Black community.
Definitely
Never
agree with
has
you.
been, never will be. Politicians, I don't see politicians as activists.
No.
Some may say differently. I view them as completely different entities. But I think that it is a time. I was saying earlier to a client, I was like, as the 92% takes a big break for 4 years, what would happen? I actually see it as an opportunity, because instead of us like dispersing our energies into places that really ain't care and rejected us largely, there's a beautiful opportunity for us to be very, very focused on our community. We all we ever had. And that's all it is. And I mean, Black men who have engaged in the who was that guy's what was that guy's name? Who passed away and used to give all this dating advice? Kevin
Oh
Samuels.
God,
Kevin,
Kevin Samuels. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels.
yeah.
Somebody like rest in hell. Like rest
About
in
to go
peace,
that
Kevin.
far, we're gonna protect the energy. But we're gonna stay high on that one. But right. But you know, honestly, I've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it. Too many of the conversations that have been separating Black women and Black men. And if it didn't become obvious how much we need each other, and that the Kevin
We
Samuels, yes, the Kevin Samuels school of thinking about gender and transactional ways of relating with each other is just not going to be helpful in this new world order that we are in.
and they don't, most people don't even realize that there's a because you know why? Everything has been normalized, so the shift isn't realized. A lot of
Yep.
people they didn't graduate. They didn't say like, okay, we're gonna dump all of this on them tomorrow.
Yep.
They said gradually we're gonna make this a part of the culture and a part of the American normalcy. Whether it was so many things that now we would have actually been like, no, y'all need to tell me more. But it's just a part of the news cycle now. Or this is wrong. I tell people I'm old enough to remember when school incidents weren't a thing. That's normal. Your children are going to school and not having just fire drills, they're having fire drills. And what if somebody that had a bad day runs up in here? That wasn't normal, and now it's normal.
Hmm. Yep.
The when gas went high and gas went to $3 a gallon for the first time, people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most insane thing ever." But that's normal now. You know, lab grown meats. No, that wasn't even like something that they like. They was just like, "No, here you go. Here you go. We gonna just grow a chicken in the lab, and then we just gonna give it to you, and then you're gonna be perfectly fine and healthy." And all of these things became normalized. Even people were called crazy for saying that they saw an alien. They believe aliens are real. They're like,
Hmm.
that man is crazy. Why would you believe an alien is real? We
What
are
happened
the
to drones?
The drones is all up in North Jersey and New Jersey and everywhere else. And then they didn't even call them UFOs. They were like UAPs. I said, oh, you got a new acronym for me because you called them UFOs when I was growing up. And you telling me that you don't even know where they from. They're not even from a foreign entity. I've seen things and they making moves that we don't know airplanes and their helicopters to make. But they're like, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day.
Yep.
Make sure I go back to work. Make sure
Yep.
I'll go be part of the program. Make sure I'll be the part of the everything. And you said something about the 92%. Women are more. I would say this: women are 100% community based, and that's why I love my black women because they are like they have been collectively doing the work. Do you know how hard it is for me? And I'm not saying like I'll be honest. It's really difficult for me to get a group of men in a room
Hmm.
and to get them on conversation. And I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. Now I might be able to find one, and then maybe he can find one, and then we can piece that all together. But the thought process of I gotta go and get it, and it's just me. That's why I try to bring so many other black men on this platform, also to show you that I'm willing to go build with other black men. This is not just an isolated conversation because if the what is it, 11 to 12% difference between black men and black women voting in a way that was better for what our actual things are. Money is not. If you voted, if you go based off of your pockets, you are playing the game. You are actually playing the game. I'll tell you why. Because anybody that works hard in America, I think, will go about receiving most of the things. Don't get me wrong, because there are a lot of communities that don't, and the work and the hard work is put there. But the thought process where so many people are like, if I don't trade my soul, my time, my energy, my effort for this money that they say that I need, then my life won't be fulfilled. And then they get in there. Because some of y'all watching this right now, y'all got the money, but you know what? Y'all not even happy. So y'all done literally sat there and put all your time and stuff and energy and stuff and things into what they mentally said this is where your thought process needs to be on.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
like, how do we try to snap these people out of it? Wake them up a little bit. Say, look at what's going on. Is it really about the money or is it about us?
You know what? It's so. Oh, as you said that, I have a really sad thing to say,
Talk to me.
which is have people chosen their positions? I mean, many of us, me, I know I have, I know you have been talking to people. This isn't our first conversation trying to wake people up. And at what point do you say some people just are going to decide not to be saved? They're going
And
to
then
be.
with the woe is me. Jesus, you never sent me a boat.
Mhm,
Jesus, you never sent me a lifeline.
mhm,
Lord, please just send me anything. If
mhm.
you choose to act blind, then this is on you.
This is the boat. This conversation, listening to this conversation might be the boat and the lifeline, because uh, faith without works is dead. So that's the reality. And so, I hope that there's somebody who maybe was not really considering the gravity of this in the way that maybe they are now during this conversation. I hope that somebody has woken up, that something startled in them and us having this conversation. And I'm also not under the misnomer that everybody's going to be saved. And to be honest with you, I have had extremely serious conversation with the people who are closest to me since election day. Extremely serious conversations about their choices, about my choices, and being like, ain't gonna be no Harriet Tubman. Like, I ain't coming back to, and what
Yep.
does that mean? But I'm a big proponent of, and this might be helpful for somebody also, is at some point you have to let other adults, like you have to speak truth to other adults and then let them make their choices. And you have to be able to say, all right, I am going to step away. I know that you fully understood my position. We've had a conversation. I cannot sway you because you have agency. And now that you understand my position, I understand your position. Go be blessed.
A lot of people think they're safe. A lot of people feel safe in America, even though at the same time they're being attacked. And you know how many calls? I'm from Philly. Now, my closest friends, they know. Yes, I'm from Philly, pero I'm not moving back there. It's not happening. But I get calls from family that are like, you should move back to Philadelphia.
Mhm.
I get calls from people and they say, you're in Colombia. Isn't that dangerous? I'm from Philly. They they
you
they,
know,
they
yeah.
I'm like, what is going on in your head where you think that you at home base? I'm safe. I got my hand on home base. I'm safe.
Right.
What is this thought process? Because I'm like, so many of you guys have gotten comfortable with the things that you hate that you forgot that you even hate.
That's right. That's the importance of people traveling, honestly, because you start realizing the lies that the United States has told us
Big
about
ones.
how everybody else in the world is living. You
Everybody else live in the ghetto except you.
hmm
Everywhere, the third world, the third world country stuff is the funniest thing I ever, because Americans love to say third world country. You guys love it, I mean, and I say you guys, and I'm saying I'm still an American, but I'm like, you guys that don't know any better love to say third world countries, and there's so many things when I go point it out that they don't have that these said third world countries have. They look at me, they actually don't have anything to say. There's no rebuttal for what? Like there's no my bad. I was wrong. You know why? Because third world countries, Cuba. They hate people. Most of the Cubans can read, bro.
Yeah.
Americans can't read that well. That's why a person like Donald Trump can go put 5 bulletin points and look up, and next thing you know, he the president after they said never again after getting him out of there after 4 years, and they said never again, and they was like, we gonna do it again. Y'all start talking about $1,200 checks. Let me ask y'all this, America. For those people who voted for Donald Trump, because he gave y'all a $1,200 stimmy, go try to spend $1,200 now. How far is it gonna go? What's that, like a month of rent? What's that like? Like what is $1,200 going to do for you? And you're gonna sell your soul. You see all these Snoops and Nelly and I called them all by the. I saw Calvin Brodus, I saw Cornell Haynes Jr., and I saw William Roberts acting a
And they
fool
were.
for
And
some
they were.
folks money, and I'm like, Everybody that has money knows when you die, you can't take none. Like Warren Buffett got so much money, and he 158 years old and can't buy not a day worth of time. You only got what you got here, and y'all literally in a situation of swapping integrity, telling yourself that everything is fine when you on fire. What's that? You seen that meme with the dog in the room, and he
Yeah.
on fire, the whole room on fire. The dog, it's not a real dog. It's like a drawn cartoon dog, but the whole room on fire, and they're like, he's like, this is fine. The whole room is on fire, America, and y'all not even realizing that like the normalcy and the normal things that you've gotten used to aren't the cadence of the world. You and you alone are dealing with the things that you are while you still stuck in it. Mass shootings happen, but not every day. And I mean, I don't see no mass shootings in Colombia. My man in Ghana said, I haven't even heard a gunshot in Ghana, and I've been here for 3 years.
I've been in Ubers around the world, traveled in
Mhm.
Ubers around the world. And when I have conversations with Uber drivers and I say, oh, no, 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 the United States is very, very dangerous. They're like, really? I say, yeah. I'm like, churches are shot up, schools are shot up, malls are shot up. And they are in complete disbelief because everybody has an image of the United States. And,
Snowflake.
I always try to see the gift in everything, as hard as it can be at this, and at this time, especially, it's hard to see the gift. But like, I think maybe there's an opportunity that, like, I always think it is a gift to be able to see people, and in this case, a country, for who they really are. Like, I used to say this in the workplace. I was like, oh no, I love when people act up. Show me, let me. That's a gift, and so it is. Honestly, it's gonna be a hard one. Like when we get to the other side of this, to the
Big
gift
one.
part. But I believe that there's a possibility that this is gonna end up being a gift ultimately, because this what is shown now for Black folks, this ain't nothing new. We've been knowing, and we've been gaslit for a long time. This is just how overt this is. That's what's new.
It, 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 it was overt, but we didn't have social media and media spreading it and putting it directly in your face. Because these folks have had the audacity for a long time. It's just now more so understanding that we live in such a microwave age. And, I think the beauty of what could happen is that we go back to what should have never left. And
Yeah.
I'm only speaking to us.
Yep.
I'm only speaking to us. But one of my biggest things with traveling and moving around the country is, or the world is, the diaspora is, it's broken. We get a lot, even with Kamala. People are like, oh, she's not a black woman, she's Jamaican. And it's like, what do you got?
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Like, listen, I'm from Philadelphia. They used to have it, and it's not even called this anymore, so I'm showing my age. But they used to have a bus called the C bus. Broad Street would take you from all the way from Albany all the way to South Philly, all the way down there.
Yep.
It's a but they stop in pretty much almost every neighborhood in Philadelphia. You can literally take one bus to. I don't know what it's called now. It's not the C anymore. But I say that is because who do y'all think y'all are? Who told? What part of history of your history were you told? Because if you think that there's a difference between now, especially when you first got there, because imagine if you got taken with all of your family, but they took two. It's 15 of y'all, but they took two of y'all to one place, and then they just learned a whole new everything. And then
Mhm.
they took four of y'all to another place, and then y'all just learned new everything. But they just dropped you off in North Philly, and then they dropped some people off in West Philly, and they dropped some people off in South Philly, and then y'all grew up like, I don't know this dude. Like, that's your first cousin, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Y'all might speak a different language, but you were forced to speak a different language. And I'm hoping that if I have to look for a silver lining in this degradation of just whatever, not degradation, it's a bursting of America's, the bubble of America and what everybody thinks America is. Um, I'm hoping that, we get back to community. We get back to you things like this. You have valuable resources. I'm on here talking. Let's connect so we can try to give something to our people. Me working with other Black travel curators to say, hey, we don't need to compete and split hairs. Like, listen, you bring your folks, I'll bring my folks. We're gonna bring them all together and we're gonna show them something dope. And maybe they'll be more inspired to do those kind of things if they're moving abroad, if they're going back to the United States. This community thing doesn't have to be I moved abroad and now I found community. You can start right there, right where you are on your seat. It's just so much divisiveness. Like families don't even family no more. Cookouts don't even cookout no more. When the last time you seen a block party where you wasn't worried about stuff going on? For my country folks, block parties are somebody shuts off a block and turns on the music and everybody goes out. They got a bouncy house, everything's for the kids, but it's realistically we've strayed so far from even the stuff that we knew. Never mind, like even the people that were a generation ahead of us, our parents, that they were community based.
Mhm.
But I feel like you know why though? I feel like we had a lot of scare. A lot of times when us tried to bring the community together, we just celebrate Martin Luther King Day, and the FBI wished Martin Luther King a happy birthday from the FBI.
Mhm.
That was probably the last time we had community when people like King and Malcolm like then these civil rights leaders when they were segregating us and we had only could go to black places and only could do these things. The community was really important because there was nothing they wouldn't let you into their community. So you had to pour into your community. I don't think we're going to be faced with that now, but I do think we're going to be faced with the opportunity and the crossroads to make a decision of going with the masses or pouring into community. Now, I'm not saying community has to be just black people or just white people. You got to realize thought process, energy, and movement is something that you can't replicate or duplicate. So some communities are going to be multiracial and all of that other stuff. Some communities are only going to be some people, but most of y'all aren't even operating in that thought process.
Mhm.
Like we can't beat them by ourselves. I know so many people that got a big family and they all make very little money together and will go so much further working how other communities are actively working at the time that all of this strife and struggle are going on. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so many people are like, I'm gonna just do it myself.
I mean, I'm hopeful. You said you don't think we're going to go back to that. I'm hopeful that we do.
I would love it to. I would love it.
And I think mm, I had a student years ago, not that long ago. I make it sound like it was decades, but probably about 5 years ago. I was teaching at Jefferson University, and some stuff had gone wrong first semester. And a student was like, "You know what? It was really, mm, it was really moving. It really confirmed my choice to be here because I've learned that people show you who they are when their back is up against the wall." And through that mishigash that occurred, she was like, "You like stayed on your square." I think that maybe as a community, we need to have a back up against the wall collective, cutting across the diaspora, cutting across class, cutting across color, all the different things, texture, all the things that have divided us historically. You live in North Philly, you live in West Philly. There needs to be a collective back up against the wall moment that impacts all of us. Where I'm hopeful we'll say, I know exactly where to lean into. And I'm hopeful at that point that we will all say, put the nonsense down because we got to survive this moment. I do believe that there are like significant diasporic healing conversations that need to go on. Diasporic healing. I don't know if we've ever collectively got real about these divides that you feel when you're traveling, you
Yeah,
know. Hmm.
false
Hmm.
lines. False lines created by people.
That's right. Created not by us. That's the thing. Hmm.
And we are arguing about what somebody else did to us. I'll give you for example. Well, so many I feel like so many black people are like, well, Jamaicans, Dominicans, they've got like culture, they've got like things that they can do, and one they they belittle what African American culture does bring and does, and don't realize that the similarities between what we're doing in the United States, what folks are doing in Colombia,
That's
what
right.
folks are doing in Jamaica,
That's
they're
right.
all rooting from the same thing. Do you know the bottom of the rice, that crunchy part of the rice when you make it? We got 500 different names across the diaspora, but it's all the same stuff, eating the same thing.
Mm.
And it's just like when you get into it and you see this beauty and you start realizing that like y'all are pointing at each other because that is what they wanted y'all to do.
That's
Y'all
right.
are saying Kamala can't be a black woman and she's not an African black woman and she's not a freed black person, like at an FBA. Like, it's like, what are you guys talking about? Y'all actually think that black people first got to the United States to start traveling the world, somebody because they was just taken. Like, there is so much history that y'all have to appreciate about your own self, that you have to realize that not only with the diaspora and the opportunity to reconnect, but more so what was already going. Black people's history did not start with folks putting them in chains.
That's right.
But so many people are that's where you begin.
Hmm.
And it's like you are so much more than what it is that you're selling yourself short to where that's why you don't even consider um you from Philly, but them country folks from Mississippi, like I don't know them dude. Like yo, like what are y'all all in this? They are probably dealing with it worse than you in Mississippi than you are in Philadelphia, as bad as it may be.
Hmm.
This, you know what I mean?
I
I was
do.
no, go ahead, Erica.
I mean, I do, and I agree. And it's funny because I was just having this conversation, and I was talking about it from the perspective of like just honestly diaspora, like across diaspora. Because again, another teaching example, I remember having being in class and being like, let's not talk like all black folks are one band, one sound. My class was usually, this is at Drexel. My class was
Okay.
usually about 50% black. And I was like, all right, because I'm gonna call some stuff out. I was like, Jamaican students, we got some Trinity students in here. How y'all feel? What's your family
Hmm.
say about Trinidadians
Hmm.
and Jamaicans? And all this was like, oh, you're right.
No, don't.
Uh-huh. And so, this is cutting across the diaspora in so many different ways. And it is past time to realize we got
Ask,
to cut the nonsense because
please.
while we were talking about Kamala, we saw yesterday what they were cooking up, the Roman salute and stuff. I
That
ain't
man
gonna
from
say,
South Africa, why he doing the Roman salute?
look, look. I ain't gonna
You
say it.
playing?
I said we in a new day where you know it's some wild stuff, but we know what it was. And so it's past time that we stop being distracted, that we start getting real with ourselves about what we are feeling, what we are seeing, and then we mobilize in sustaining ways.
No, we have to, because we're going to be in a scenario where communities that don't have this are going to start clicking up, and they're going to start, what would you call them? So I was having this conversation today earlier, and so many of you may not feel the community aspect, and I will tell you why. You have people that you've got your first family, and I think this is such an important thing for people to understand. Uh, One, you got your first family. That's who you woke up here with. You have no influence on that. You got your second family though, and everybody knows that those friends that become family. And more people need to realize that the opportunity for a community is going to come from said second family. Now, when I say second family, I don't mean like the second family doesn't include anybody from your first family. That would be outrageous. But so many of these people that you've met, whether it's from traveling abroad, you know how many people I've met on a plane, then I'm not even a plane talker,
Mhm.
that I have went traveled other places with. They've literally, I've known them for years. So I'm talking about this second family. That second family is going to be so important to that community aspect because so many people are turned off because they woke up here in a bad family. They woke up here with manipulators, users, liars, cheaters, people that'll steal from you and be like, I'm your dad. I'm your sister or your brother. And they're like, man, I'm not dealing with nobody community. I don't even know them. No new friends, right? And not realizing that life isn't about what just happened to you. You gotta take some control over this. Mental health is about taking control. Because if you sit in the back seat, somebody else will drive your brain and drive your car wherever it is that they want it to go.
Mhm.
But the second family thought process, I feel like it's such an important thing when you're talking about how do we get back to community. You might not be able to go to the next level with everybody you woke up here with.
It's facts.
You might find some people in places that you never even thought that you could find somebody solid. And now that's your community. Now that's your family. And you may have better experiences, whether it's quality of life, how you feel about yourself. They may pour into you more than the people that you woke up here with. But if you don't, I guess, unplug from the programming, I woke up here, so this is how it be. I woke up in America. So this is the best country in the world. Like that thought, you're never going to get the community aspect. If you're like, no new friends, if it ain't my cousins that I grew up with, then because you know why? Because they're gonna probably want to stay at home or not even just moving abroad, but like they not be open to change. They may not be open to build, even though you are. So it's like the wake up process has to get back into also like you need to wake up and realize just because you woke up here with somebody don't mean that they're good for you. Keep the good people around you, but let the world bring you the rest of the people that you need in your life.
The term chosen family was created for a reason, and
I'm going
chosen
through it.
family can keep on evolving. That's the thing.
Hmm.
And you're making me think because we're in some different groups together. You're making me
Hmm.
think that I need to pose some conversations because I also, as you were talking, I was thinking how much of us are going to be real jacked up if just like TikTok went dark, poof, a flip of a switch that easily went dark. What if all of these platforms just went dark?
You will
And so
freak
I
out.
think that we need to get real creative, especially when you're traveling, about how you're connected with people where you are. Because if you're relying on these platforms, when the people that own them decide they're going to flip the switch, that chosen family that you created,
That's
talk about a mental health crisis.
people ain't ready for that.
Yep.
So many of y'all are watching and or just on the internet looking like, oh, I want to. I'm in this like a black sit group, and I like it, but I also don't like it because there's no structure. People are just flying off the handle with just information, and some of it's good, and some of it is freaking terrible. Nobody's reining it in, but I'm seeing so many people with the urge to leave and don't realize that. I tell you, if you are an introvert at home and you're looking to move abroad, you cannot be the same person introverted. And I don't mean like you got to be this butterfly or whatever, but I'm like, you have to go outside because if they turn TikTok off, Instagram, all of this stuff off,
Yep.
and it's been since I'm 37 years old. It's been since probably what, sixth grade when they start sending out AOL CDs to your house, tearing up the phone line at the crib. You know what I mean? So that's
Yep.
25 years, maybe longer
Yep.
of consistent, like, and even not even just consistent, persistent, gradual consumption. Like your phone do it now. You spent 8 hours on the phone looking at the phone today.
Mhm.
Imagine if you had to go back out and talk to people again. Y'all don't even know how to have conversations anymore. So it's like when you go outside, well, here's the thing though, when you go out to the United States and you live in these communities abroad, you realize that people go outside, people do stuff. It's uh, I'm in a spot where it's 70 degrees, 80 degrees all year long. So it's never like, oh, it's bad weather. So all year long, I can go outside and go into nature and go into hiking and go into this with other people that are interested in seeing these things. And it's like, I see so much community abroad. I see so many people not valuing substance of a person off of how much things that they have. Oh, they've got nice clothes and nice cars, and they live in a nice neighborhood. So that means they're a good person. They're Colombia has 38 paid days off if you have a job.
Uh-huh.
Y'all call y'all group chat and say, I got a promotion, girl. Yeah, we got 14 pay days off. I got a 2% raise. And it's just like you don't even have enough time to build in the community in America, let alone like really if you even if you had the desire to. So it's just so many things when you talk about what you guys are going through in the States, what you're gonna have to do when you get out here, because you're gonna have to. Hey, maybe I was worried about going to the grocery store or the bowling alley and getting smacked up by some random dude having a bad day. But this isn't the place that you are. And when you go back, let me ask you this: when you travel for an extended period of time and you have to go back to the United States, how do you feel?
Nervous system immediately feels anxious. Nervous system, is on edge. I'm fully aware that in the United States, my nervous system is completely different than it is out of the country.
So many people haven't had that weight ever taken off of them. They've lived with it for all of the years that they've been alive,
I'm
just
gonna tell
gradually getting heavier.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, the first solo trip I ever did was when I was like 22. I went to Paris by myself for 2 weeks. I had heard, all that's a place that all these black folks went to seek racial refuge and this, that, and the other. And while Paris has its stuff, I will say to be African American there as a woman, it was the first time I realized, and I didn't have the words for central nervous system then. I was like, my voice is like softer here.
Hmm.
There's like this softness and easiness that I'm feeling because the attack was still happening. France has its stuff, but it wasn't coming at me like arrows the way we feel it in the United States throughout our days. That's why I say anti Blackness is worldwide, but it's a special thing in the United States.
You said something that we've said on this before, and it was something for me also. You said an African American.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in America, you got to put the African in front of the American.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody here knows you know black person. They know that you're American, and you are going to realize. And we talk about when you go to move and you start really going to go travel. They don't look at you as no black ass person. Like you're African American, you're African. Like they like, no, you're American. You have a blue passport. You speak English. You have
Yep.
American money. You have American
Yep.
customs, ideals, and thought process. And that is a thing that most people aren't prepared for because they have never been able to unpack America in a way where they were able to be treated as if I my what I said to myself was, is this how they feel in America? Because I was like not only am I getting treated like an American, the average American, but it's like I'm like so many people are one paycheck away from just the
Mm-hmm.
shit hitting the fan and it all going. No matter how hard you're working, it's one paycheck, and you're like, I'm not one paycheck away from this. Is nothing. Like shit don't cost this much. I'm not paying all my life to live $10,000 a month. and when I lived in Florida, just for basic stuff. I didn't live on the water. I didn't have no ocean view. None of that. None of that. It was just bare necessities. And I was just like, I got there and I was here and I'm like, this is how they feel. This is the first time I've ever actually felt like an American and not this in front with a hyphen and then I'm American. So y'all pay attention because she said it. Oh, I was African American because if you were African from
Yep.
Africa,
Very real.
they would have been treating you differently.
Very real. Yep. That was part two of. I first noticed the softness, and then I looked around and I said, I don't want to be treated like this if you treat my African brothers and sisters like that. And so, but again, anti-blackness, and this is something I think that everybody who is like has not traveled yet and thinks that there's any place on this earth that they're not going to experience the nonsense that is anti-blackness, set your expectations realistically because it's everywhere. Because I think that that can like really thrust people, especially people that maybe already be inclined to feeling depressed. That can make people really depressed. Is if you're like have this fantasy that if you go to Mozambique, even go to the continent, that you're not going to experience anti-blackness. Anti-blackness is everywhere, and
They
I think.
dealing with it
Mm-hmm.
in a black ass country.
Yep.
Imagine. Because of colonialism, you got people of all other races coming there and seeing resources and products, and people are still in dire straits while other people are getting rich off of them. Every phone that we're on right now,
Mm-hmm.
that's how ingrained in society it is across the globe. There's nothing that you can't buy that is not a part of taking advantage of other people.
That's right.
You gotta think about it, and you have to move. Moving with intention, moving with the intention of knowing these things
Mm-hmm.
is such an important journey to making certain that when you do go leave within Australia. So somebody on Instagram said the first time they did not experience anti-blackness was in Australia, and I find that crazy because we all know about the Aboriginals, and if you don't know, go ahead and take a gander at Google. But that is interesting that you said that.
I've never
Oh, or at least I just okay, I got you. She said they said they just they pay attention, but that, that's why I was gonna say you go to Argentina and the black people down there. You
been.
go to Australia, you got them, but they're all into specific things and they're marginalized. Even South Africa, we've seen with apartheid, 20% of the people owning all of the land and making all of the decisions for the remaining 80%. You know, these things are all, oh, we need to be aware of them because we don't feel privileged. I don't feel like African Americans feel privileged by being an African American. Like that gives you some sort of status.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody will copy you. Maybe somebody want to ask you, what you think about the new Lil Baby album, but that doesn't give me any actual status of anything. Whereas once you get out, that blue passport gives you a whole different feeling that you're going to wake up. And that's why I tell people this is why it's a two-sided conversation. Yes, y'all are going through something in the United States. Your mental health is at attack. But if you aren't aware that you're going to still need to be in the driver's seat of your mental health when you go live abroad, and some of the things that you're going to run into, some of the things that you did back in the States that you can't do, oh, I just stay in the house because if it's $100 to go outside and I can get hit up by somebody, you cannot do that there because you are going to be isolated. And your community that you're going to be a part of is also going to be important regarding your mental health because I know Medellin's community is not like everybody else's. We have a certain age ranges here that other places may be more retirees. There are more things to do because we don't live in a beach town. There are all of these things that you have to consider when you're like, I'm leaving. Most of y'all ready to literally just jump out the boat and don't even know where the shore is. But the thought process when you say, okay, where am I going to land to make certain that if I'm leaving somewhere for my mental health, amongst a number of things, that I'm going somewhere that's going to cater to a positive mental health. Because that other portion, some of y'all gonna leave and not listen to none of this stuff. Y'all gonna go back and be like, that was terrible experience. And I'm like, "Yeah, but you didn't do nothing I told you to do."
Yeah. And I will say, just this afternoon, I heard this woman on TikTok. I'm trying to get it in before it goes away. But I heard this woman on TikTok talk about, she was like, y'all, she's been out of the States for 12 years. And
Okay.
she said when she left with $6,000 in her pocket and didn't have a job. And she's been out for 12 years. And I guess what
I
she
don't
was saying,
recommend that.
I don't either. But her point outside of that was, don't think that like the first place that you decide to go to has to be like your dream place that you're going to retire and spend the rest of your days in. Like, don't, once you have your financial situation secured ish, once you have a plan for employment, don't you have to spend years turning the idea of, using Medellin as an example, you're a Medellin, and being like, okay, let me go down there and visit and see. Maybe that's just the beginning of the journey. That's okay too.
They ready to go to Dr. Wilkins. They ready to go. They like, listen, I get the DMs. People are DMing me like, okay, so how do I get the visa? You ever been to Colombia? Nah, but how do I get the visa? Hold on, let's back up.
Right.
Let's back up.
Let's
Like,
get towards
you,
visa.
no, no, you're right. Do you know that your passport, the little blue thing that you have, will get you 90 days
That's right.
consecutively in Colombia, 180 days in a calendar year with no extra passport besides you being paperwork besides you being American. Now that varies depending on what country you're going to, but so many of you guys are like, I call it moving from the United States to a country that you've never been to based off of TikTok and or one is TikTok the terminal. Stop doing it. But two, the thought process behind that is like going to a first date with an engagement ring.
Facts.
It's outrageous. You're like, well, damn, when you put it like that, yeah, because you know you would have never go to a first date without an engagement ring. It's not 90 Day Fiance. I watched that crazy stuff. This ain't 90 Day Fiance. This ain't Secret Sister Wife. This ain't none of that stuff where people are like, we moving in tomorrow. We go together and we go together for real. But
Mhm.
that's what these so people are doing and don't even realize that like I get, well, what work can I get over there?
Mhm.
Now that person has a success story. I don't care if you have $6,000. I don't care if you have $10,000. The
Mhm.
money is going to get spent, and if you don't have any way to replenish it, that's not a good. That's not a good. Like to jump
Like,
out of a plane with no parachute. That's outrageous.
yeah, that was wild. Yeah.
That is like I do. Like you will never hear me or anybody on here say that's something that you just signed
Right.
yourself up for.
Yeah. And I know some people that did some stuff like that personally. And it's scary times, scary, scary times. And yet, I so appreciate your analogy of like, you don't got to go on the first date with an engagement ring. And also, you don't have to go back if that first date didn't work out with that person. You don't have to go back to who you were last with. You can say, all right,
Right.
from here, let me find another first date with somebody else, date another country.
In another country. Use that passport. Get all them stamps as you can. Understand, y'all got Google, Chat GPT, you got all of these things in your hands. Give me name 10 countries on the in the Western Hemisphere that can that I can have at least 90 days with no paperwork. Put it in Google, put it in
Yeah,
Chat GPT. They start right there
yeah.
because it gets even worse because we're talking about Colombia, we're talking about Mexico, Panama. I get so many people asking me to say, I want to move to Southeast Asia. Do you know what day it is? And do you know what time it is there? Nah, I just heard it's really cheap.
Uh,
Today Tuesday, right? Today's Tuesday, right? I'm not sure. Today's
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, January 21st. Okay, so, and right now in Southeast Asia, it's actually Wednesday, January 22nd. Y'all talking about how y'all gonna make money and trying to find remote jobs. Main man just said everybody come work back. He said we not doing DEI no more. And then what you see? Hundreds of businesses, hundreds of major companies say to rocks.
Before he
I
even got
wouldn't be surprised if he say before he even got there. I wouldn't be surprised if Juneteenth come off the federal holiday list.
Yep. Oh, I thought he was going to announce that yesterday about MLK Day. I was like waiting for it,
And
honestly.
today, the last MLK Day, I'd
Mm-hmm.
have been like, this is what I was. I told y'all. I
Yep.
told y'all. I
Yep.
told y'all. So like. These things, y'all need to come with some education. That's why we had these conversations.
Yep.
We had these conversations about mental health, but it's like about the wake up, about the preparation that needs to go into possibly, can't guarantee you nothing. I'm a probability person. Most things aren't, I can't say, or anyone can say, I guarantee this 100%. But increasing your probability, dating around when it comes to because it's like when you get out of a long-term relationship, most people don't go directly into a new relationship. They say, I need to work on me a little bit. I need to take some time for myself. But you can't do that. When you're talking about countries and living, you got to go immediately into the next relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
don't go in there with a wedding ring.
That's right.
My joke, I was supposed to be in Medellin when I first got here for 3 months. I was going to head to Mexico. I never left. Maybe for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I didn't want to go because I knew that this was the place for me. However, I spent 3 whole months before I even went and decided to look at any long-term thing because I was like, you don't want to live in nobody's beach town. You
Uh,
move from South Florida, you know what that's like. And I
okay.
don't want to be anywhere where the temperature is going to be under 70 degrees during the daytime. So we're going to keep
Yeah.
that calm as well. And I still need to be on this side of the world. And on Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern time, relatively. So it came down to a number of decisions that I had to ask myself, questions, excuse me, that I asked myself that all went into where can I give my best, me the best shot at bettering my quality of life, improving my mental health, and the things that matter to me the most. Um, and I narrowed it down to here.
Yep. And the only way that you could figure that out was actually to travel to the place. You learn so much about yourself through just dating or dating countries
Data
that
around.
that you're better just like finding a boo. You're better able to like figure out exactly what you want. For me, it was Puerto Viejo, Costa Rica. I realized
Okay.
I don't want to be nowhere too jungly. It's not for me. Other people love it, but the threat of snakes being wherever I was
Oh, yeah,
not
no.
for
No.
me. Lovely place, and but that's part of the, traveling around. You start. I wouldn't have known that until I went there and cut the trip short. So
Mm. See, imagine if you went and moved all of your stuff, so everything, and you were like, I'm out of here, and this is where I'm going to be because I could just walk to the beach every day, and there's fresh mangoes growing on the trees, and it's like, you haven't got no walk around time there, bro.
yeah.
You don't even know what the culture is like. There's so
Mhm.
many cultural shocks that we as Americans don't realize that we're going to have, that
Mhm.
we're going to have to reset our entire thought process and mentality. Nobody moves as fast as Mississippi moves faster than Cartagena. No disrespect to Mississippi. I just thought about the most countryest place that I could think of. And I'm like, the SIP, everything in the South moves slow.
Mhm.
It moves slower in Colombia.
Mhm.
Because nobody is worried about people have money. People don't have money. People are
Mhm.
gonna be happy. People gonna be with their family. People gonna be with their community. They're gonna enjoy themselves. You know what I mean? So the cadence of what us growing up in America, what we spent our value and time on, you find that people don't value those things at the same expense. And then you feel a little crazy, like I just spent my whole life considering that I needed all of this
Mhm.
in order to be happy. And people don't have they don't even have a quarter of it. And they live a better life than me. They are literally happy.
Yep.
Because they've realized that the stuff and things that you can buy while you're here, it doesn't equate to happiness.
Yep. I remember, thank you for validating. I remember being in South Africa and I was there with like a group of colleagues, professors, and we were driving around and like people were noticing just the poverty, as we were driving. We were driving to Safari. And I was like, I think it's important to remember like just because people may live in poverty doesn't necessarily mean that they're unhappy. Like we can sometimes layer this American framework onto what lifestyle satisfaction means and what it takes to be satisfied with your lifestyle.
Hmm.
And I think it's important to be able to say, you know, maybe other people have a different definition of happy than what we've been programmed to have in the United States. The Lexus, the 3-car garage.
They, they get it and they not even happy. They need more. It's all temporary happiness. Nobody in America has sustained happiness. Unless you've already gotten all the things and realized that that's not where you're going to get your happiness, and then you went and poured back into what it was. I would say 98% of Americans are not happy. They're just a part of the program that gave them what my dad hits me all the time. Oh, I had a bad day. I'm going to go do some retail therapy, buy some, buy some clothes, buy some things. You save up, you get your Mercedes Benz, and you have it, and you're like, it's doing just a car. It just gets me from one place to the other. It's January 21st, not even one full month from Christmas, and I guarantee you, all that money and all that time you spent trying to get those things, kids, significant others, family members for Christmas, it don't even got the newness on it no more. And
Mhm.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. So you're gonna need to buy some more stuff. You're gonna need to replace that happiness that is no longer there with the stuff. It's like now I got all this shit that I thought or it gave me happiness when I bought it, but it no longer it no longer gives me. And then you see come somebody and you come to somewhere like Colombia and you go to Palenque and you see people building community and like literally building community and willing to show you their community. And you're like, by American standards, this may not look like the best neighborhood, but then you actually take a second look at it and you see the beauty of what
Yep.
actually is going on in front of your eyeballs. And you're like, I wish I could go home and see this.
Yep.
I wish I could go home and feel it, but you
Hmm.
can't.
Hmm.
And it's time to wake up.
Whew.
It's time.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's time. I feel like I'm on shouting the green like a black Israelite telling people they need to wake up because we was here first. Like I feel crazy, but I need y'all to see me feeling a little crazy just so that y'all know people is willing to give y'all some insight into what was going on in their heads, what they went through, bringing somebody that knows what they're talking about on top of me giving you what's in my head, because I need y'all to realize that there are community-based people here. There are community-based people that want to build and that are willing and actually are doing the work to build community, to give us resources where it's like you aren't alone. You can find other people that can help you. Whether it's, like I said, I know so many people can't leave, but you can start the community building. You can start deprogramming yourself from temporary happiness to stuff and things, still being in the United States.
That's right.
It's so heavy.
That's right.
Y'all don't even realize how heavy it is. I was in Florida. I was staying at a hotel. My airport outfit is all black. I got all black shoes, all black sweatsuit. In the back of the was by my car, and there was no lights in the parking lot. I said, "There's a bunch of folks out here. I'm a tall black dude, all dressed in all black, and an all black, no lights.
Hmm.
I need to like move a little bit to like somewhere the light is." I had a hotel glass and I had my hotel key. I went to go pull my hotel key. I said, all right, if police come up and asking, because like people go through hotel parking lots and they be trying to steal people cars and stuff. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm only walking outside just to go outside. I went to go pull my hotel key out, and I said, put this back in your pocket. It's a black hotel key. You
Mhm.
got on all black, black
Wow.
shoes, black hat,
Mhm.
black hotel key. You go pull this out and say, no, sir, I'm staying at the hotel. All you see is a black thing, and then
Mhm.
that ain't nothing I got to do with living out in the United States, but I had to go back home for 24 hours and realize that I got to make it back to where it is that I feel safe at. And I had to go pick up something that I no longer had to do with. And it was heavy as hell.
That's
And I
exactly.
realized that I'm like,
Mhm.
I can't afford to go back into it knowing what it is that I gave up and knowing that that's no longer a normalcy that I have to have in my life. And I gave you all that because there are so many opportunities for you to see things like that living there, going and traveling, and then coming back. Like maybe you never left. You remember it wasn't $100 a bag of groceries, but now you're just used to it. But you didn't get no more money to sustain $100 a bag of groceries. What are you willing to do to kind of America has been driving most people's cars. The car that does your life. They say, hey, I'm American, just get in the car. I know it's your car, but I'm a job. I'm gonna take you here, you're gonna love it. Don't worry. And he like, am I loving it yet? Yo, get out the passenger seat, get into the driver's seat.
Yep.
Don't use these social medias for just entertainment. I know y'all need entertainment because y'all stressed. But you got a plan to get the hell out or a plan to live better if you can't leave where you are. Because time, I've lost so many friends that we were younger. I've lost a bunch of old heads. What you gonna do when yours is up and you don't subscribe to this life? I gotta put it in life because it's not life. It's
Mhm. You
life.
said, yeah, social media as entertainment, and actually I would say narcotic. And it's time, it's okay because, the context requires for us to get a fix of something sometimes. So if you have to get a fix of social media and entertainment for like a small dose of it for your mental health and self-care, do that, but do not let it become a narcotic that you just consume. Don't let yourself become a junkie. We're past time, for being awake and being really aware and being planful and being community oriented. We're past
Past it.
time for that.
So many roadblocks before Trump got elected for the second time that so many people stayed and said, "This is okay. This is okay." So now we're at another crossroads again. I mean, if it was the first time, then the pandemic happened, and we seen all of that craziness that happened. During the pandemic, you could still be murdered as a black man just for being outside. So many reasons before yesterday to go. So it's like, how much is enough?
That's what I said today. I don't know if you saw in one of the groups that we're in. I was like, identify your bottom line. Like, what does this is too much look like for you when you need to knock everything over and be like, I'm done.
I'm out.
Everybody needs to identify, like, what is that point? It, better to be proactive than to be reactive. I always say that. Better to be proactive.
And the compliment that, make certain that once you know what you're leaving and you're saying, I'm done with this, have a other side where it's like, this is what I need. After
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it is that I don't want, where am I going to go that I'm going? Because if you go to somewhere that has the exact same problems that you're trying America's issues, there's so many things, topics, might be LGBTQ rights. It might be cannabis. It might be like there's 1,000 things of you're like this isn't working here, abortion, right? Like there's so many things, but make certain that you're doing enough homework to know where it is you're going because
That's right.
kicking the can from one BS place to another BS place, and then we're going, y'all don't get on, y'all don't really, most Americans don't get on and be like, yeah, let me tell you about that third world country, America today. I went outside and it was $100 a bag of groceries, and I had the money for a new apartment, but because I didn't have a credit score that was made up of, imaginary feelings and things, I wasn't able to get housing. Is that something that you want to go somewhere else and deal with?
Yep.
Don't be just somebody that runs from a problem. Like, understand where it is that you're moving from and what it is you're seeking, because that's going to help you narrow down where it is you end up.
And when you get there, be humble
Mm,
about the things that you need to learn.
say
There
it
was
again.
a story. I don't know if you heard about that girl in Mexico. She was a
I
sister.
told my boy about that. Shout out to D Mac. I said, bro, that girl was tripping. They said they wanted her DM to say, hey, can you like chill out a little bit? And that's why I said, it don't matter if you're black, white, Asian. If you American, you got a stink on you that you don't even smell. And you
Yep.
need to be aware enough beforehand because for her to please tell them the story because most of these people might not have
Okay,
known.
so check if I get any of the facts wrong. So it was a sister in Mexico City that basically was bragging about how far her American dollars were taking her in Mexico, and how she was out here living like this, that, and the other because her American dollars. Da, 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 da. And people were like, "Hey, hey, hey, gentrification, not cool. Chill out." She's like, "No, I'm not gonna chill out.
No,
Matter of fact, I'm gonna spend even more money." And the U.S. embassy, the consulate, had to step in. And I don't know, did they deport her? Because
I don't know. But I've seen a lot of these Americans either get deported or then got themselves into too deep hot water because they taken America with them. Listen, just because you are not a palm colored person does not mean that you can't be acting like Christopher Columbus out here.
yep,
So
yep.
many of y'all don't realize that y'all are colonizers too because of the thought process, because y'all don't realize because you're already under enough stress of being a black person in America.
Hmm.
So you don't even think that like you go, I'm trying to tell y'all, I go to resorts and I see Americans and I'm like, "Geez,
Facts.
the way y'all act or with like they treating us like hospitality staff and it's like everything's supposed to be microwave this and where my this at and this that stuff stinks. It smells so bad. It smells so bad. And
Loud,
to
loud.
for somebody to bring you together and somebody to be like, yo, like go on your DMs and it's like, hey, like there's a better way about doing this. There's a better way about going about this. And if you tell them pretty much to kiss your ass, take it or leave it,
Mm,
you ain't no better than them folks that you think that you're leaving. You them.
there you go.
You are them. So it's just like we've talked about this with the etiquette and the thought process of moving abroad. And y'all need to get ready. Because one, you have to take America off you. It's a heavy jacket that we got on your back, but take it off you. But you're gonna realize that America is not everywhere. America isn't America, and America is only in America. Everybody else don't care about America. Most people think that people on the outside of America, all of them want to be in America. Most
Mhm.
of the people I know don't want to be in America. And they don't even know the stuff that I tell them. And they're like, oh, I definitely now don't want to be in America. I didn't even know that y'all were out here doing these mass incidents every day. I didn't know I could go to work all day and I could still not have enough money to afford a house, food, to be homeless, and I go to work every day for somebody. They don't even pay you a living wage and you go to work every day. That is foreign to them. They're not shown those things about America, but they know that I'm not lying to them about the things that I know are facts. And they're like, well, I didn't think about that. It's getting bad now. I'm getting Colombians asking me, like, yeah, I heard Donald Trump, they had translated. He said that so and so and so and so. And I'm like, I'm a black person. Please do not ask me about Donald Trump. I don't have any affiliation with him. But they in my face asking me about that because I'm an American. And it's just like, You don't know what stink until you don't got to smell it no more.
Mm, mm.
Message. Dr. Wilkins, I wanted to get you back on because I knew the day was going to be it was going to be a lot. I feel like the chats were even going off with just like, what the hell are we watching? What are we going? What is going on? How did this even come about? He just pretty much said everybody that ran up in the Congress or whatever the Capitol took a doo doo on the daggone doorsteps. They good. This is cool. I'm a Roman salute. I'm not even going to do it because you're not going to catch me with a boomerang that's doing something crazy like that. Like, what we doing with our hands, y'all? I knew that people were going to go through it.
There's no bottom to this dude. Mm.
It's just today, tomorrow's tomorrow,
Yep,
and I don't know what's going to happen.
that's right.
So please let this be a wake up call. Let this be an opportunity for you guys to think. Um, maybe, just maybe, when they said America was the best country, they weren't talking about for you.
Mm-hmm.
Most of y'all don't ask yourselves that.
Mm-hmm.
America's the best country. And I said, for who? For
Mm-hmm.
who? Make America great again. For who?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you making America great again? When you say again, that means it was a present time that it was a time that it was great. It was very great. Quando,
Mm-hmm.
when, please.
Was it when it belonged to the indigenous people? Just
Wasn't
wondering.
even America then. I don't even know what it was called. Some that wasn't named after Amerigo Vespucci. So this will be if you guys missed it, well, this is already on live. This is already live right now, so it is on. Will be available once we wrap up here on Black Expat Life in Colombia. We are on there in Twitch with Black Expat Life in Colombia. We are on X right now with that is that's a little tougher one to sound out, but needless to say, we will make this full conversation available in the next couple of days. Told my therapist, he said, "You going anywhere soon?" I said, "Nope, my wings are clipped. I'm going to be sitting down for a while because I've literally been in 3 different countries and we're only on the 20th day since 2025. So I've been moving around since 2025 started, and I need to get down, get some homework. We have over 500 videos that we will be releasing with conversations like this, short form things that will lead you to the larger conversation. I've been busy. I thank you, Dr. Wilkins, for making time on your busy calendar for me. We're gonna make certain. Oh, make sure and I'll clip this out of there, so don't worry about it. But make sure once you hang up that you stay in until the recording uploads all the way.
I got you.
Once it does, it don't take long, but once it does, it'll be easy for me to get these things clipped up, the episode put on, and we'll continue to have these conversations. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Um, Tomorrow's Wednesday. We go over tomorrow decluttering. No, not the decluttering. Excuse me. The 6 steps you need to move abroad. There are 6 actual steps that you need to do before you move abroad. We go through all of them and give you understanding of why you would need to go through. And this is not just for Colombia, this is for anywhere you could consider. Dr. Wilkins said, date around. So you need to do all of these 6 steps in each of these particular places that you're looking for to make certain that, hey, if I'm actually going to pack up all my stuff and sell it, and I'm giving myself the best probability of having a successful time when moving abroad. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll get this up and onto the internet so everybody that did not tune in can watch it. Hope to see you soon. I know that I'm back in Colombia for a minute. So if you happen to be traveling down here, please, I
Will
will
do.
be
You already know.
here next to that at. But thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back on. Tomorrow we're gonna go over our relocation tours at our 3 o'clock hour. We have relocation tours for people that are looking to move to Medellin. That's gonna be March 12th to the 17th. We'll give you an understanding of how much it costs, what that looks like, why it makes sense. Nighttime, we'll be getting into our 6 steps. And then the remaining of the week, we'll continue on with our remaining IG live schedule We have some important things coming up this week, Friday, for all of my guys. Listen, I told you, community building. You want to make certain. You guys might not want to move to Colombia, but you might want to move somewhere else. So Friday we will be on with William, my Morehouse brother. He lives in Panama. He has his own relocation tours out to Panama. So all my people that are looking for Panama, looking to relocate to Panama, I am not a gatekeeper. I'm a gate opener. I want to make certain that you guys have a platform to say, hey, if he doesn't know, he's gonna bring in the right resources. So Friday we'll be on with William in Panama, and for all my people that are looking to go east, we got some folks that's coming on. My homegirl Bentu, we went to school together in high school, and she lives in Qatar. So we will be going live on Saturday at noon Eastern time to talk about life in Qatar, what brought her there, what the real understanding of what that is. She actually owns the Blacks in Qatar group out there. So this week I'm playing catch up. I was off for a week. Now I'm back in the saddles, ready to make certain that you guys feel a little bit more comfortable about moving abroad and what that looks like. So I appreciate you guys as always. I appreciate you, Dr. Wilkins, and thank you for always tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow. See y'all later.